700, 701, 702, 703, 704, 705, 706, 707, 708, 709, 710, 711, 712, 713, 714, 715, 716, 717, 718, 719, 720, 721, 722, 723, 724, 725, 726, 727, 728, 729, 730, 731, 732, 733, 734, 735, 736, 737, 738, 739, 740, 741, 742, 743, 744, 745, 746, 747, 748, 749, 750, 751, 752, 753, 754, 755, 756, 757, 758, 759, 760, 761, 762, 763, 764, 765, 766, 767, 768, 769, 770, 771, 772, 773, 774, 775, 776, 777, 778, 779, 780, 781, 782, 783, 784, 785, 786, 787, 788, 789, 790, 791, 792, 793, 794, 795, 796, 797, 798, 799, 800, 801, 802, 803. Sendo Andy Uba, Nambra South.
Mr. President, all distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Andrew Uba from Anambra South Senatorial Zone. I rise to move that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 16th of October 2018 are so moved.
Senator Jeremiah Osini, Plateau South.
Senator General rise to move coming to second at the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 2nd October 2018. The approval so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 16th October 2018 be hereby approved, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 16th October 2018 is hereby approved. Announcements. Just two announcements for committee membership for two new senators. Senator Ahmed Baba Keita Kassina, now Chairman Capital Market, Committee on Power, Steel, Development and Methodology, Committee on Works, Committee on SDG, Committee on Independent National Electoral Commission, and Committee on Science and Technology. And the Senator Bauchi South, Senator Kamau, Committee on Poverty Alleviation, Chairman, Committee on Air Force, Committee on Customs, EXA, Committee on Inland, Committee on Land Transport, and Committee on Local Content. Leader of the Senate. The appointment of the Senator Theo Oji.
Your Excellency, my distinguished colleagues, I want to come under Order 42 and 52. The 42 says the matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before commencement of the day's sitting, and the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. Your Excellency, yesterday I presented this case.
No, you're coming on Order 42 and 52.
Says, notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required, except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of the senators present.
Distinguished colleague, Senator Theoji came and seeking to present this motion, but according to our rules, I need your leave and granting to proceed. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Go ahead and present it.
Thank you, Your Excellency. This motion, Your Excellency, I remain Senator Theoji, representing Abia Central. The motion is titled Urgent Need for the Federal Government to carry out a proper investigation on the incident that took place in Osisioma local government area of Abia State on the 12th of October 2018 and the need to maintain pipelines across the Federation with a view to avoiding accidents, loss of lives and property. Senate notes that on Friday, 12th day of October 2018, there was oil pipeline leakage in Umimo and Umudara villages in Osisioma local government area of Abia State, which is part of my constituency, where about 35 people were killed and properties and farm products worth millions of naira were destroyed as a result of the incident. The number of dead people has continued to increase daily, and as at the time of writing this motion, which was yesterday, 150 people have been confirmed dead. Further notes that the explosion and eventual fire outbreak was not as a result of pipeline breakage or vandalization, but primarily due to dereliction of duty by NNPC staff and unnecessary love of money and compromise by the Nigerian police. Observe that there are 2 oil pipelines across the above-mentioned villages. One is an old and abandoned pipeline which is under the guidance and supervision of the villagers, which does not carry any oil. The second pipeline is a new one, fixed by NNPC, which transports all the petroleum products from Osisioma Depot and beyond, which is under the management and supervision of NNPC. Worried that this particular NNPC active pipeline has been leaking petroleum products from time to time, and this has constantly been brought to the attention of the depot manager at Osisioma, who, for reasons best known to him, refused to take any necessary action. Further notes that the chairman of the local government has invited the depot manager severally to their peace and conflict meetings to discuss this issue of leakage, and the depot manager never attended any. Therefore, on that fateful day, the leakage was much, and this attracted some of the villagers who went to scoop fuel as a means of keeping body and soul together, when a cell phone ignited fire which unleashed mayhem on those around the scene of the incident and even beyond. Perturbed that policemen drafted to the place to prevent people from scooping fuel went there and compromised themselves by charging the villagers 1,000 to 2,000 naira each in order to be allowed to scoop fuel. An information that was authentically and openly given to me by the traditional ruler of the village, Eze Goswell Mbarinya, when I visited his palace. Worried by the number of people that have died, properties that have been destroyed, dereliction of duty observed, and the extent of environmental pollution in the community and those rendered homeless, resolved as follows. 1. That NEMA should send relief materials to the devastated communities. 2. NNPC and PPMC to commence immediate repairs on the leaking pipelines. 3. That this incident be referred to Senator Manafa's committee and the Committee on Police Affairs for proper investigation and recommendations for either compensation or disciplinary measures as the case may be. Your Excellency, my distinguished colleagues, I so submit.
Senator Tome.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I am Senator Victor Ume. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, this motion is a very important motion because it borders on dereliction of duty, where people have continuously refused to do their job. This oil spill or leak that eventually led to loss of lives totaling about 150 according to this motion is very regrettable. We have many agencies that are charged with the responsibility of dealing with issues like this. From the onset, we have NOSDRA, National Oil Spill Detection and Regulation Agency. We have the DPR, Department of Petroleum Resources. All these agencies of the government and NNPC are supposed to monitor the vandalization and leaks in our oil pipelines. From this motion, it was evident that the leaks were reported to the relevant agencies, and they ignored to take action. They refused to take action, timely action. If NOSDRA and its agents and DPR had gone in to rectify this leak, it wouldn't have led to loss of human lives, totaling 150. It is regrettable that after this report was made, nothing was done. And of course, from the report and the motion, the policemen that were in this location started trading on the opportunity. People started going to scoop petrol from the pipeline, from this leak. They were going there with buckets and jerry cans to tap from the pipeline, and the business was flowing, it was booming. If you tip police officials with some money, they allow you go to the pipeline and they scoop petrol. And eventually, due to negligence and dereliction of duty, this thing caught fire and killed a lot of people. I support the prayers that the agencies charged with pipeline surveillance and detection of oil spill, oil leaks that failed to do their job should be invited. The officials of these agencies should be invited. We've continued to play with human lives in this country. It's not good. Just yesterday, you saw what we went through in this chamber. Everybody bowed in grief when somebody who was in captive was held and the deadline expired. Government did nothing and the person was executed. This one again is oil spill, oil leak. The agency's charged with responsibility of ensuring that an immediate leak is reported, decided not to do anything. And fire came as a result of this negligence and killed 150 people. So they should be summoned. We should not continue to play with human lives in this country. People continue to die. People draw their salaries. They do all kinds of things without doing their work. So I support this motion that the agencies should be invited, and for NEMA to, of course, NEMA cannot restore life. I've always continued to worry about when things that could be prevented are not prevented. When the catastrophe lands on us, start calling on NEMA to go and send relief materials. You cannot recover lives that have been lost. There's nothing NEMA can do to recover the lives of 150 people. So these people should be called and queried and given the marching orders for them to take their jobs very seriously. I so second this motion, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Senator Mao Arubo Abunwabia North. Mr. President, I rise with a heavy heart this morning in supporting this motion. Having just come in this morning from Abia State, I want to say it was a very gory sight to behold, quite sympathetic and pathetic. I saw where human lives are being charred and burnt like rats, and for no cause really of theirs, just like it's been said, due to negligence of an organization, a department of government agency, the PPMC or DPR. Mr. President, from information reaching us, this leakage has been on for months. We were shown records of letters that have been acknowledged by NNPC, asking them to come and rectify this. And they left it until it got to this stage. It's not just only lives that are lost, even those that are burnt are beyond recognition. We are not talking about people losing their loved ones, but you can't even see the corpse of your loved one to even give her or him a befitting burial. It's quite pathetic, Mr. President. And in this country, it's like we've lost premium on human life. Human existence, human life does not bother anymore. And I think this one calls for serious investigation. And I think this committee and this Senate should take it seriously by mandating the committee on that stream to investigate this and get to the roots of the matter. Why such leakage? This is not issue of vandalization. If it's vandalization, you say, oh, they went to vandalize. This is pure case of negligence, and it was reported. And to add salt to injury, the security agents that were supposed to protect the people and protect the pipeline colluded and started doing business. Instead of they found this to be business, collecting money, extorting money from people. If you bring 5,000, you are allowed to go and scoop. And unfortunately, some of them too were caught in the fire incident, in the explosion, because some of them were burnt. But we can't continue like this. So, Mr. President, in supporting this motion, I want to say that the Committee on Downstream should very much investigate, even though the chairman of Committee on Downstream is making noise. The chairman of Downstream is making noise. Marafa, the chairman of Downstream is the one making noise, and that's why we're having this problem. Because if he's listening, he will now understand the seriousness of this case and what we should do to follow this case. And if it's not possible, we can set up an ad hoc committee, Mr. President, so that we look at this and nip this right in the bud. So they colluded. So I'm saying that it should be properly investigated by the Committee on Downstream, and this Senate should send a strong delegation to Abia State to commiserate with Abia State government and commiserate with the people of Osisioma on this sad incident. And like it's been said, ask NEMA and other agencies to go ahead and not just providing relief material at this time. You have to provide the medicaments, because medicaments for burns are not readily available and they are disposable. So much money will be needed, and that's why most of them now that are burned already in the hospital are dying on a daily basis. So, Mr. President, I want us to take this case seriously and handle it with the urgency that is required. Thank you very much.
Distinguished colleagues, I think this matter touches on the essence of why we're all here. Truly, we're here to represent our people and to ensure that issues that concerns lives, properties, safety, the essence of them having a government and having people representing them is important. I want us, as we go into the prayers, to look to how we can truly begin to show that life does matter in this country, and make this a very good example of that to those committees that we have to refer this to. Because from the presentations and those who have contributed, this is just a clear case of negligence on the part of those who were responsible, and we could have prevented lives of our people, who have over 150 people that have died. And I think that those who we finally agree to look into this matter should treat it with the seriousness that it deserves. So I'll go straight to the prayers. Prayer 1 says NEMA to send relief materials to devastated communities. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, NMPC and PPMC to commence immediate repairs on the leaking pipeline. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3, that this incident be referred to the Committees on Petroleum Resources and Police Affairs for proper investigation and recommendations for compensation and disciplinary measures as the case may be. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Is there any other additional prayers to show the seriousness of this matter? The Committee on Petroleum Affairs, Petroleum Resources and Police Affairs for proper investigation and recommendation. Is there, let's agree a time frame by which these two committees should report this back to us. Yes, gentlemen. So 2 weeks. Committee, Senator Marafa. This matter involving this pipeline leakage that happened, leading to loss of 150 people. Yes, it's a very serious matter, and I'd like your committee to please investigate to find out what happened, how could it have been prevented, who were those responsible, and let us take some serious action, and then also find out what is government itself doing on their own part internally to investigate and look into this matter to prevent this. In 2 weeks, let us have a report. And then the Committee on Police Affairs, Senator Abu Ibrahim, also, if you kindly also give you 2 weeks to look into this matter and find out what role the police played and what should have been played to prevent that. Additional prayer, yes, Senator May.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Victor Ume. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, like we usually do in this chamber, when this kind of calamity befalls the nation, I will say that an additional prayer that you should observe 1 minute silence for the 150 people that lost their lives. It's not a small number. Let the Senate rise and observe 1 minute silence for the repose of their souls. If it's the only thing we'll continue to do when people die, let's observe this 1 minute silence for these 150 people who died as a result of negligence on the part of people who work for this country.
And second, yes, Sam.
Sam Anyang is I rise to second the additional prayer moved by Senator. I so second.
Those in favor of the additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. Yes, have it. Also, there was one of, I think, I don't know, to Senator Mao, Senator May, that also said that considering also the number of people that died, whether a delegation should be sent. I think that also is very important, that a delegation be sent not only to both to the Abia State government and the community, and to show concern on our part. So I'd like somebody to move for that additional prayer and second it. Sam Anyang, yes.
Sam Anyang, Imo East. I move for additional prayer that a powerful delegation of the Senate be sent to Abia to commiserate with Abia State government, and of course the Osisoma community where this incident took place, for us to be able to commiserate with the entire community. I so move, Mr. President.
I second to that. Yes, Senator Sabir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Senator Aliu Sabir Abdullahi, I second the motion that a delegation be sent to commiserate with the people. I so second.
Since those in favor of this additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Okay, distinguished colleagues, if you can just stand up and observe the 1 minute silence on the loss of 150 people. May the gentle souls rest in perfect peace. Amen. Distinguished colleagues, the two chairmen, please send Senator Abu Ibrahim. Senator Abu Ibrahim. Senator Abu Ibrahim, please, there are two reports also we are expecting from you. Again in line, we had a case yesterday of the lady that lost their life, and also you remember Youth Copper about a few months back as well. Please, these two reports, we would like to get the reports next week so we can consider them because of, thank you. And then Senator Marafa, next week, we want to get a report on this matter. 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I give you 2 weeks. Two weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. All right. Leader, point of order, Senator Magnus Abbey.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I come under Order 42.1. A matter for discussion shall, if possible, be referred to the President of the Senate before the commencement of the day's sitting. And the President of the Senate shall refuse to allow the claim unless he is satisfied that the matter is definite and urgent. And also under Order 52, sir, dispensing with notice. Notice shall not be dispensed with in the case of a motion or in respect of any other proceeding for which notice is required, except with the consent of the President of the Senate and the general assent of senators present.
Distinguished colleagues, by rules, I seek your leave to us take this motion. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. Yes, right, Senator Magnus.
Thank you, Mr. President, my very distinguished and eminent colleagues. This is a motion to notify the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria of the passing of one of our own, a former member of this hallowed chamber, late Senator Cyrus Nunez, who represented Rivers State in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria under the platform of the National Party of Nigeria, NPN, from 1979 to 1983. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues,
just a second, Senator Magnus. Distinguished colleagues, there's too much noise in the chambers, please. Can you kindly settle down so that... Yeah, all right, carry on, Mr. Magnus.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I wish to respectfully bring to your notice the passing of late Benin Senator Cyrus Nunez, who left this world on the 18th day of August 2018 at the age of 87. Senator Nunez was elected as senator to represent Kana, Gokana, Tai, Eleme, Oyibo, Andoni, Okrika, Opobo, and Boni local government areas of Rivers State in these hallowed chambers in the Second Republic. He was a reservoir of wisdom, whose courageous voice lent credence to many useful laws and policies of this great nation. He was 87 years old at the time of his passing, and he served in the Senate with such great minds as the late Senator Wires, who was President of the Senate then, under the leadership at that time of the father of the present President of the Senate, Senator Saraki. Senator Nunez was an advocate, champion, and a crusader for the rights of oppressed people, and was a life patron of the movement for the survival of Ogoni people, Mosob. Interestingly, his submission that the Imo River be the natural boundary between Rivers State and Imo State was upheld by the Justice Nasser Commission of Inquiry in 1976. Senator Nunez was an eminent legal practitioner who served his state, Rivers State, in several other capacities. He headed several commissions of inquiry and contributed so much to the development of the legal profession in Rivers State and in Nigeria in general. He was chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association, Port Harcourt branch, and in that capacity, he presented several papers, both at national and international fora. He was a very great father with several children, and it is on record that just last year, he got married again at the age of over 86 years and was living happily with his wife at the time of his passing. He was a great Nigerian, a committed patriot, a great senator, and a man of many parts. He was a grassroots politician who was active in politics from the time of the National Party of Nigeria through to the People's Democratic Party, where he served and indeed contested as one of the aspirants for the presidency of this country under the banner of the People's Democratic Party. He was a friend of mine, a mentor, a supporter, and indeed he was one of those who came to the Senate here to meet with the Senate President and the Senate Committee on Constitutional Reform to submit the request for the creation of Bori State. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I want to urge this noble Senate to observe a minute silence in his honor and send a delegation to commiserate and condole not only the Rivers State government, not only the people of this great senatorial district, not only the people of Ogoni, but indeed also his family and well-wishers. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, my colleagues, for giving me your attention.
Yes, leader.
Mr. President, very distinguished and respected colleagues, Mr. President, I rise to speak in support of the motion presented by our friend and colleague, Senator Magnus Abe, paying tribute to late Senator Nune. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the late senator was a nationalist. Even though coming from Ogoni land and rivers, he believed that Nigeria must remain one, must continue to grow, must continue to develop. He also believed that those in position of authority and power must be truthful and must be committed and dedicated to serving the people. He believed that those in power must always do those things that will promote unity of the people and stability of the country. As a legislator, as a senator, he walked across the aisles to ensure that deals or compromises were made so that Nigeria can benefit. This is a lesson for us. As legislators, we are supposed to work across party lines, work together to ensure that the government in power delivers services to the people. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to take this opportunity to urge my colleagues in the minority parties, the PDP, our friends in ABGA, our friends in ADC, that we should continue to work together with the majority party, the APC. We did that. Minority. We did that. APC's minority. We did that for 16 years for PDP. We committed ourselves to the unity and stability of Nigeria. We committed ourselves to the service delivery by previous administrations from 1999 to 2015. In fact, sometimes at the expense of our party. Today we are pleading that what we did before deserves some kind of another time. We promise that, excuse me please, Mr. President, I am protected from the minority leader.
The leader, I'm doing my best to protect you, but I said you heard my word. I said I'm doing my best to protect you, and that is why I am allowing you to flow. You are flowing.
The late senator taught us to be totally committed to this nation. Whether we come from majority or minority tribes or ethnic groups, it doesn't matter. Nigeria should be a land, a country, a nation where everybody has an opportunity and a chance. If we do this, and I urge us to do this today, tomorrow, 2023 and beyond, Nigeria will be a very good place. We will build on those things that you got right, and will take a different direction and digression on those things that were done wrongly. But at the end of the day, we should all work together for the benefit of our people. I so submit, Mr. President. Thank you very much for the privilege.
Thank you, leader. We'll go to the prayers. 1 minute silence in the honor of the centenary. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The second prayer is to send a delegation of the Senate to condole with the family. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You can all rise to observe 1 minute silence in honor of centenary. May his gentle soul rest in perfect peace. Amen. Distinguished, we will send a delegation of the Senate to condole with the family and show our respect and our appreciation of the service that Centennial gave to this country. And leader will put a delegation together for that. In doing that, leader of the Senate. Yeah, point of order, Senator Albert Akpan.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished and respected colleagues, Mr. President, Senator Albert Akpan, Akwa Ibom Northeast, I come under Order 43 of our rules, Mr. President. By your leave, may I please read?
Go ahead.
Mr. President, my respected colleagues, I wish to draw the attention of the Senate and the majority of Nigerians to the orchestrated plot of the APC in Akwa Ibom State to cause violence and mayhem as we build up to the general elections. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, let me place on record that as a fallout to the recently concluded primaries of the party in the states, where scores were killed and 2 divisional police headquarters burned down, the state government has discovered a plot by the All Progressive Congress in Akwa Ibom State to cause mayhem, which will eventually lead to the cancellation of the coming governorship election in Akwa Ibom State. We believe as a party, Mr. President, and as a people, that Akwa Ibom State has been adjudged as one of the most peaceful states in Nigeria. Therefore, we wish to draw the attention of the Senate and the generation of Nigerians to the fact that the plot by the APC in Akwa Ibom to cause mayhem that will lead to the cancellation of the forthcoming governorship election in our state, so as to mobilize what the so-called federal might, to distort the peace of the state. We only bring this to your attention because we believe that as a people, as a party, we are ready for a peaceful, transparent, credible conduct of the next coming election. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Albert Akpan. Your information is well noted. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very respected colleagues, the first
distinguished leader, 1 second. Senator, former minority leader, you know you can't speak from there now. You can go to your seat. Then when you get your seat, I'll recognize you. When you go to your seat, you cannot use Senator Ndumezem, leader of the Senate.
Sorry.
Leader of the Senate, yeah.
Mr. President, please, we need some. Mr. President, as it stands today in this chamber, there is no any organized sitting arrangement. And you recall that I raised this issue in our leadership meeting once, that it is not in order that senators will just choose where to sit like that. We should organize it. If the former minority leader decides to sit there, Mr. President, he deserves to sit there.
There is no microphone there.
There is no microphone there.
Microphone. Mr. President, let us not take the Panadol for his headache. He chooses to sit there. If he decides now on his own volition to go to where there is a mic and speak, Mr. President, we should oblige him. But let me advise that please, even though we have only 6-7 months to go, let's do what is right. That some of our colleagues have moved from APC to PDP. Some of our colleagues may move or have moved from PDP to APC, APC to ADC, and so on. We may allow our colleagues to choose where they want to sit, but that's not the practice in legislature. We have the standard of how we sit or how arrangements should be. Let's do it.
Leader, I have to stop you because the clerk has been directed by myself to allocate seats for people to speak, and the clerk will confirm that to you. So the clerk has been directed to give and allocate seats for people to sit. So, and that is working on that, and you do that. So I don't think that that's okay.
We need to be guided by our rules. Yes. Let's have sitting arrangement.
Agreed. So clerk, ensure that by next week that is done with the name posted on it. All right? Okay. Senator Akpabio, you cannot speak from there. Senator Dino Melaye. Dino. Point of order. Point of order. Point of order. Yes, Senator Poker.
Mr. President, sir. Leader. Mr. President, sir. Senator Akman Bobson came order 43 on self-explanation. Mr. President, if you allow me, let me just read.
Does he not have an attack dog in the Senate? He has now employed Nelson as
Mr. President, order 43. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation.
Somebody is on the
The tenth of the Senate statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave is sought.
Akpabio, you were not
Under this order, there is no contribution to be made by any other senator. Is order 43, self-explanation. And my brothers and Akpabio cannot make a comment on this issue. I just submit, Mr. President. Thank you. So you cannot even make a submission. You cannot. You cannot. Order 43, you cannot. Order 43, you cannot. No, order 43. Order 43, you cannot. Order 43. You cannot. Order. Point of order. order. I'll give you my order. Do it now. Give me my room. Give me my room. Point of order. Please sit down. Don't let them do this. Go and sit wherever. No. Let's not. Go and sit wherever you want. That don't know what the people are doing. No, it's not. Come.
Yes, Deputy Senate President. Deputy Senate President.
Settle down, please.
Yeah. DSP.
Just like any PDP senator,
Deputy Senate President.
Order. Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues.
There should be equity in this place. You can't discriminate against our senators. You can't discriminate against our senators. You can't do that.
This, the leader and Deputy Senate President, what we agreed was that I said Senator Kwebe should go to a place where there's a microphone. Not that he should not speak. Simple. And that is what I said. I told he should go to a place where I have said it. He should go to a place, that is what I said. Yes, he should go to a place where there's not. No. Go to a place. No, that is not true. No. He said, no, leader, you are not being fair. All I said, you should go to a place where there's a microphone. No. The point is that you should go to a place where there's a microphone.
Colleagues, please settle down.
Excellency, distinguished colleagues, I come under order 11, 1 and 2 of our standing rules. Distinguished colleagues, the issue here is to maintain order in the way we do our business. But we must also recognize the right of every senator here to speak for himself and the people he's representing. So in doing so, I just want to appeal that there's no need for this bickering. Now, if you read... Who started it? It cannot function. Even citizens will not function if you want it this way. If you want us to go, we'll leave. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Senator Fabio.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, let me speak.
GSP chose himself to conclude. Yes, Senator Fabio.
Okay. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I didn't stop you. No, I didn't stop you. By virtue of Order 43, by indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the Senate President, the Senator may make a personal explanation. I also want to refer you to Order 11. And the reason why I raised point of information and point of order was for me to reappraise you of Order 11, which says the President of the Senate shall allocate a seat to each senator. The seat I'm sitting on was allocated to me by the clerk, and I will expect that the clerk of the Senate had obtained your permission before doing so. When we started, the first time I came, I sat next to Senator Kwankwaso until I was led by the sergeant at arms that this is my seat. And so I sat here. So the embarrassment I got today from your desk was totally unnecessary. And I'm
Senator Fabio, let me first correct one. Before you started to speak, I'd asked, before you finish, no, let me correct. I asked the clerk. I asked the clerk whether he allocated that seat to you. He said he didn't. The clerk is here. Clerk, respond.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, if you remember last week when he came, he wanted a seat, and I allocated, I said he can sit where former Senator Dino was sitting before, because there was microphone there. So on the second time he came, he told me he would prefer to sit here. So I said there is no microphone there, but he said he will still prefer to sit there. So when he came this morning, and I was busy here when they said to me that he wants to sit there. I said he can sit there. That was what happened.
Senator Fabio, the point I was saying to you, if you had waited, was that there was no microphone in that place, and you should know. That is why I'm now, as you are now at the point, we're going to carry on.
Mr. President, with due respect, all I expect All I expect from this Senate today is a letter of apology. It's an apology to me. Not even by way of letter, even verbal apology. I represent a constituency. I know my contribution to Nigeria. If the clerk of the Senate has authorized that I should sit here, and I was so embarrassed here today, we cannot run the Senate on a partisan basis. We must be bipartisan.
Senator Akpabio, it's not being partisan. You are sitting in a place where there is no microphone. We do not allow people to speak. All you had to do was to move to a place. So now that in a place of microphone, you can go ahead and speak, and then we make progress. Yes.
Even PDP apologized to Nigeria. What is the big deal?
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the President of the Senate has agreed that I require an apology, and maybe that will be discussed later. But let me say, Mr. President, all I am asking for is for every senator to be given the same right.
You are given the same right. There's no senator that is allowed to speak if there's no microphone. So then there's nothing new. We have resolved that issue. There's no senator that is allowed to speak if there's no microphone. So there's nothing that has been done to you that is different to anybody. All I said, go to a place where there's microphone, you can speak. You cannot speak from a place where there's no microphone. And no senator has been allowed to speak in this chamber from where there's no microphone. Distinguished colleagues, let us make progress on issues that are important. These issues that if there's been a senator that have allowed to speak without a microphone, state. That's never happened in this chamber. All we said is there's no microphone where you are. Go to a place where there's no, and you can speak. Now you have the floor, speak, and let us make progress.
In view of the situation of the Senate today, I want to apologize to my colleagues if I raised my voice earlier, and to say that until the Senate is well reconstituted and the sitting arrangements well arranged, I want to hold my peace. Thank you for the opportunity.
Leader of the Senate.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. The first business of the day is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Information and National Orientation on the National Orientation Agency Act, Amendment Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Suleiman Adoke, Chairman of the Committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator Adoke.
What mistake? Your Excellency, my name is Suleiman Adoke. I represent Nasarawa South. I move that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee of Information and National Orientation on the National Orientation Agency Amendment Bill 2018, Senate Bill 33. I so move, Your Excellency.
Senator Gigi Mayori.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I hereby second the motion that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Information National Orientation on the National Orientation Agency Act Amendment Bill 2018. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Information and National Orientation on the National Orientation Agency Act Amendment Bill 2018 SB 333, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Adoke, come and lay the report. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of the reports of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition
You stopped me from talking.
in respect of A.
When you want to have stopped you, know I interjected. When you had the right to continue. I will interject your own when you stop.
In respect of A, petition from Ndu A. Nanda against the National Population Commission NPC for denying him appointment to the post of Director, Administration and Human Resource Management or Secretary to the Commission. B, petition from O.J. Omoke against the Nigerian Defense Academy NDA for alleged wrongful withdrawal from the Academy. And C, petition from Professor Emmanuel Ume Lekau Imaga against the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, UNN, for his wrongful dismissal from the service of the university for alleged gross misconduct. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Samuel Anyau, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the reports.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, Sam Anyau East, I rise to move that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions on the following. A. Petition from Ndu A. Nana against the National Population Commission for denying him appointment to the post of Director, Administration and Human Resources Management or Secretary of the Commission. B. Petition from O.J. Omoke against the Nigerian Defense Academy NDA for alleged wrongful withdrawal from the Academy. And C. Petition from Professor Emmanuel Ume Lekwa against the Nigerian University of Nsukka for his wrongful dismissal from the service of the university for alleged gross misconduct. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Gobri.
Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Graham Pavel, representing Sokoto East. I move that we take the report on ethics and privileges and public petitions, heavily presented by Samuel Anyau, ABC. I so second. Thanks.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that we do receive the reports of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions as presented by the Chairman of the committee. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Anyau, come and lay those reports, please. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of the report of the Committee on the Gas Flaring, Prohibition and Punishment Bill 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Abasi Akpan, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Senator Abasi Akpan.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished and respected colleague, Senator Abasi Akpan, Akwa Ibom Northeast. Mr. President, I rise to move that the Senate will receive the report of the Committee on Gas on the Gas Flaring Prohibition and Punishment Bill 2018 SB 337. I so move, Mr. President.
Senator Shaba Lafayette.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Shaba Lafayette. I represent Kwara North. I rise to support to second the motion by
Albert, Senator Albert.
Moved by
Senator Albert.
Mr. Akpabio.
Albert.
Mr. President, I so move.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Gas on the Glass Flaring Prohibition and Punishment Bill 2018, SB 337. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Basia can come and lay the report. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President, CNC, for the confirmation of the nomination of Olani Keku Olokoede, Esquire, as Secretary of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in accordance with Section 2, Subsection 2, Subsection 3 of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act 2010. Mr. President, very distinguished senators, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of Mr. President CNC to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President CNC be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Leader of the Senate. I support.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This is referred to the Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crime for further legislative action. Report back in 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion standing in name of Senator Benga Ashafa on the illicit and excessive charges by Nigerian banks on customers' accounts with a particular focus on automated teller machine ATM maintenance and withdrawal charges. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Benga Ashafa to move the motion.
Senator Ashafa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Benga Ashafa representing Lagos East Senatorial District. I rise to present this motion on illicit and excessive charges by Nigerian banks on customers' accounts with particular focus on automated teller machine ATM maintenance and withdrawal charges. Note with concern that there have been several complaints from Nigerians generally on social media concerning illicit and excessive charges by Nigerian commercial banks on customers' accounts with particular focus on ATM maintenance charges and ATM withdrawal charges. Aware that the Central Bank of Nigeria in 2017 increased the maintenance fees charged by banks on debit and credit card maintenance from 100 naira a year to 50 naira per month, amounting to 600 naira a year, as contained in its guide to charges by banks and other financial institutions. Concerned that in a viral campaign that began on social media on Monday, 3rd September 2018, many Nigerians called for reforms of the bank.
For them to take their jobs very seriously.
Reform Nigerian banks began on Twitter.
Mr. President.
When a UK-based Nigerian medical doctor,
thank you very much,
Harvey Olufumilayo, lamented the state of banks in Nigeria compared to those abroad. In his comment, he stated that since his time in the United Kingdom, he has never been charged any sum of money, either for bank-to-bank transfer, which in Nigeria a sum of 52 naira is usually deducted, nor has he ever been charged any sum of money for ATM card maintenance. Another Nigerian, Eniola, who lives in Qatar, stated that banks in Qatar do not charge customers for the use of ATM in any bank. Please see Premium Times online newspaper of September 6, 2018 for the above stated examples and even more. Notes that card users are charged 65 naira per withdrawal from the ATM after the third monthly withdrawal from an ATM outside that of the domicile bank of the said ATM user. Worried that most banks have deliberately manipulated their ATM machines not to dispense more than 10,000 per withdrawal, in some cases, and in most cases not more than 20,000 per withdrawal at the ATM. Further worried that this is a deliberate ploy to manipulate the ATM machines, which are ordinarily manufactured to dispense as much as 40,000 per transaction, in order to attract more bank charges from customers who are forced to carry out more transactions due to the manipulated machines. Worried that it appears the CBN is becoming insensitive to the plight of Nigerians who are already complaining of excessive charges by commercial banks. If the CBN is trying to encourage a cashless Nigeria, why should they be making it more difficult and expensive for Nigerians to do transactions? Accordingly, resolves to 1. Direct the Committee on Banking, Insurance and other financial institutions and finance to conduct an investigation into the propriety of ATM card maintenance charges in comparison with international best practices and report back to the Senate. 2. Mandate the Committee on Banking, Insurance and other financial institutions and finance to invite the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria to appear before the committee in order to explain why the official charges as approved by the CBN are skewed in favor of the banking institutions as against the ordinary customer of the banks. 3. Urge the Central Bank of Nigeria to suspend the ATM card maintenance charges being deducted from customers' accounts pending the outcome of the investigation by the committees. And number 4, urge the Consumer Protection Council to be up and doing in taking up the plight of ordinary Nigerians by looking into the various complaints of excessive and unnecessary charges by Nigerian banks. I so move.
Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues, I would like to second this very impressive motion from my friend and brother, Senator Gbenga Shafa. I think this is one of those occasions where the Senate is rising to the occasion to protect the ordinary people of Nigeria, a motion that has impact in the way we live and protecting all our citizens. Your Excellency, distinguished colleagues, here the motion is about ATM charges. But for some of us that had transactions with the banks, this is not the only charges or the only charge that we get from banks. There are charges for withdrawal, there are stamp duties, there are VAT. If you make one single transaction in a bank, you get about 5 different charges. And this is completely unacceptable. The central bank is not there only to help the banks to make money. They have a responsibility to protect the ordinary people, especially the customers of those banks. And that's the only way we can encourage our people to have the culture of banking. Distinguished colleagues, we have customer protection agencies and institutions in Nigeria, but unfortunately they are not living up to the expectations. I'm aware that the banking sector is not the only institution that is ripping off Nigerians. Even the electricity providers, sometimes you get electricity bill for services that are never rendered. You've never had light in your house for a week or 2 or months, yet you get charges for those things that are not used. And some places, some communities, some areas in this part of this Nigeria have been cut off, from electricity simply because they've been not unable to pay those charges. And sometimes they've been in darkness for like a year or 2 years, yet they're getting bills. And then those customer protection institutions are simply saying nothing and doing nothing. So if we have institutions in Nigeria, they should be made to do the work for which they were established. So it is now our responsibility, therefore, to call these institutions to order and make sure that they protect the ordinary Nigerians who are customers of these institutions. So in a situation where you have maybe 100,000 or 50,000 in the bank, and maybe because of a month or two, all of them will be completely taken away from you because of charges. I mean that's something we will not encourage. We need to find a way to ensure that the banks be able to have charges which are recognizable, and we're able to know what is the base of these charges. So we must know what are the charges the banks need to get from customers because of their transactions, over a period of time, so that as a customer you'll be able to know what you're up against. So but this one where they just charge you anything and the central bank is doing anything, or rather encouraging them to be doing these things, will make it impossible for some people to even encourage, imbibe the culture of banking, because I'd rather put my money in my pocket or put it in my house instead of putting it in the bank, and then at the end of the day they say the money is gone. What happened? They've taken from because of the so-called charges. So I think this very motion is very important, and we must ensure that we get to the root of this matter, find out what are the basis of these charges, and is it possible for this thing to be streamlined, and as much as possible reduced to the barest minimum. The issue of bank charges is no more fashionable all over the world, yet we have been anachronistic in the way we practice our banking system here. So we must be able to behave like others. People should be encouraged to come and even take loans and advances from banks, which is what they do in most places. You wake up in the morning, you see letters from the banks asking you to come and take facilities. But here, the little one you have in the bank is being taken away from you. So that is not a system that should be encouraged. So I would like to thank Ashafa for bringing this up, and I hope that our colleagues will support this motion.
Deputy Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. I think it is appropriate at this time to draw the attention of the Senate to Section 16 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as altered. And Section 16, with due respect, sir, says, the state shall, within the context of ideals and objectives for which provisions are made in the Constitution, A, harness the resources of the nation and promote national prosperity and an efficient, dynamic, and self-reliant economy. But the relevant provision, sir, is B, sir. Control the national economy in such a manner as to secure the maximum welfare, freedom, and happiness of every citizen on the basis of social justice, equality of status, and opportunity. More particularly, sir, C, that the economic system is not operated in such a manner as to permit the concentration of wealth or the means of production and exchange in the hands of few individuals or a group of people. Mr. President, you will remember that about a year ago, the issue of charges that bank introduced when you withdraw amounts exceeding 500,000, is that? We brought that matter here, that whenever there is any kind of withdrawal above 500,000, that money is to be paid to the bank, a certain percent. And we asked, what is that money for, and where is it being used, and what is the purpose for keeping that money? I remember that we had a resolution here where it was ordered that an investigation be carried out so that we can have that report back to the Senate. Now the danger, sir, is this. The economy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as it stands today, sir, does not guarantee what we refer to as even distribution of wealth. Reason being that everything revolves around government. You are either in government or you are out of it. And because of that, it is the responsibility of the Senate to make provision for the operation of the institutions that are charged with the responsibility of distribution of income, to do it in such a manner that it is done for the common good of Nigeria. And to do it in that way means if you cannot provide for these people, then the Senate will not be doing its work to allow certain individuals to capitalize on the provision of the law or its non-existence, to continue to do things that will take away money from the poor and give it to the rich. This is exactly because the poor man doesn't know how to establish a bank. It is the rich people that establish this bank. And if they are allowed to continue to operate these charges, it is as good as saying that we have allowed the economy of this country to operate in such a manner that it is concentrating the wealth of the nation in the hands of the few. And once you concentrate that kind of resources in the hands of the few, the next thing that follows, Mr. President, is oppression. An operation can be economic, it can be political, it can be in several other ways. And that is the more reason why my brother and friend, who we share the same birthday, distinguished Senator Ashafa motion, should be supported by all distinguished senators. And I think let us take a leap and be sober and come out with what can reasonably stem this tide within the shortest possible time. And in my opinion, sir, it will not be out of place to institute a committee that will call the CBN and banks and our operating banks to come and tell us those charges for overdrawing 500,000 that they have been charging, what is it used for? And then two, the issue of ATM should equally be looked into. And then this Senate should come hard and even if it is by law, by fiat, abolish these charges once they cannot be justified. And I think that this is something we can do as early as next week. So I'm calling on my colleagues to take this matter seriously and to look at the possibility of calling this meeting as early as possible so that we can take a firm decision as it relates to this inequity and injustice. I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Senator Brown, Dada.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Dada. Civil colleagues, I think I have a different view on this issue. We should start to understand the way the banking automation system works in this country. There's no bank that make any profit on ATMs. The cost of running ATM is too high in this country. Because you see the procedure they're going to it, you might have a process. That process is called ACPS, that's Automated Cash Processing Systems. That falls to do this, which is ATM fit notes, which are get notes, which are bank notes. After that, the CRT companies, they take the money from the bank and feed the ATM system. The ATM capacity, most of them are 4 million. The traffic on them is heavy. The counting per second is heavy. As well, the maintenance and breakdown of ATM are so frequent that the bank absorbs a lot of loss. So we need to understand that the charges which bank charge on either on the cards, either debit cards or credit cards are the same because those cards also have to be replaced. So all these small cost centers around the ATM are the major issues that make ATM business very, very funny. If we are not just not careful, we shall be bankless. Because if you look at 1984, we have 91 banks. Today, we have only about 15 banks left. The trend is going down. So cost of businesses for the banking system is so high that customers are prepared to bear those costs if they want to have electronic banking system that accompany their offices, if you want to have the transaction system make it possible for you to pay money today in Lagos and get credit next day in Abuja. All these processes are cost centers. These cost centers is what are causing the expenses in running the ATMs. I think my colleague, Senator Ashafa, brought on a good case. But the case is not good enough because we don't also the dynamics that run the ATM system and the banking system today. Because if you're automating the banking system, definitely you have a cost center. So these are the issues. For the gentleman, furthermore, if you now look at the high bills, people go to ATMs, most of the bank notes are only 500 naira or maximum 1,000 naira. But if you see the traffic and inflation of 500 naira, 500 naira is not too high anymore in terms of purchase power. So how many often times do people approach ATM to withdraw money? If you draw money in 1 hour time, 400 people come in one day, and that will run down the equipment itself. So these are all the charges we need to understand ourselves. Sir. The security the bank provides, because you cannot load ATMs without having police with you. Because if you carry money to ATMs, you'll be attacked at the point. The cost of moving money from the bank vault into ATM vault also attracts charges. These are all the areas where customers who want quality services when they come to the offices to pay. The capacity also of one of the ATMs. ATM machines have capacity of 4 million to 5 million. And the traffic, I know of some ATMs that be loaded 4 times a day. The cost of loading, the cost of moving on the funds, these are all the factors that are affecting the cost of operations. Then charges by 500 naira or so, to me, I feel it's nothing. Because to buy one ATM machine, it costs you average about 5 million. How many can you deploy? These are the charges. Most people don't see that their bank is doing you a favor by giving money to you in your comfort of your environment. So, Mr. President, sir, and colleagues, as much as I would like to give a good record for our colleagues, but I think we should be careful and mindful of all the charges that are responsible for the high operation cost of this ATM machine. Thank you.
Senator Bunker.
Mr. President, I still want to reiterate on what Senator Shafa said concerning these high charges. I understand that the CBN itself is not monitoring its monetary policy guidelines very effectively. Otherwise, just like my distinguished senator has just said, yes, if we are to compare the charges or the rate and the cost effectiveness of the bank transaction, we will now consider them in that way. But one thing I would like us to understand here is that the monetary policy guidelines that stipulate the control of the charges or bank charges is not being adhered to. And the banking supervision department of the central bank are not carrying their works effectively. Otherwise, because the banks have left the customers, paying the highest price of whatever transaction they are going through. In that aspect, I feel that if the banking supervision department will now sit down and tabulate, just like you have said here, the suggestion here is that the Committee on Banking and Finance should take care of that. And I believe that when the Banking and Finance Department Committee sit down together, they will now sit down and find out, assess both sides and see why is this thing happening. It is only after that we can arrive at the solution of what actually is the cause of all those transactions they are talking about.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleague Adeola Olamilekon, representing Lagos West Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me start by thanking the mover of this motion, my brother, Senator Gbenga Shafa. As I will tag this motion, this is a very popular motion, most especially among average Nigerians. Mr. President, we have often said on this floor of this Senate that any economy that is not private sector driven, that economy will surely collapse. And Mr. President, what we are simply witnessing on this particular motion is to show that economic-wise we are not doing very well. What the bank, as Senator Lala said earlier on, they started with 150,000 naira. As once you withdraw any amount above 150,000, you have to pay charges on your personal account. It was as a result of the outcry of this Senate, the central bank go back to the drawing board and increase it to 500,000 naira. And if you withdraw anything above 500,000 naira from your personal account, you will pay charges. All these are not steps in the right direction. And I must say this, Mr. President, all that has been analyzed in this motion is nothing but the true position of things. How can we imagine the movement of cash between central bank and the banks to the ATM? The charges are borne by the users of this ATM. How do we explain this? Mr. President, distinguished colleague, position as maintained by Senator Bola Hundada that because of the frequency of transactions, that is why these charges are like this. It's not a true position of things. Because once you slot in your ATM card and you withdraw 10,000 naira, if you request for your bank statement, immediately the charges will reflect. It's automatic. And as such, you are the one burning the charges. And what we are saying is that we should stop ripping Nigeria off their hard-earned money. This is what these ATM are used for, as a matter of principle. I have never, and I have decided not to go through ATM to transact any business because the funds are not there. So for this motion to have come, I want to say this, sir. This is just one out of numerous things these banks are doing. Go to the issue of the unclaimed dividends. There are billions of naira locked in the banks, and they are not saying anything. Why the family of those people who own that dividend are there suffering? Go to the issue of money of those who are dead that is in the bank. And I believe the Committee on Banking should go after all this investigation. This is just one out of them. Billions of naira, trillions of naira have gone down the drain as a result of transactions like this. So I want to thank Senator Gbenga Ashaba for drawing our consciousness to one out of these numerous transactions. So, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I will be supporting this motion in its entirety and also mandating the Committee on Banking and other financial institutions to broaden their scope of investigation to cover other areas where this banking has been changing Nigerians. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gubri.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Well, I'm going to deviate a little bit because the way I look at this issue is that people don't understand that cost of technology is expensive. And you have to understand that the interface between man and machine and man or vice versa, this one creates a lot of problem, particularly when you come to the issue of ATM machines. Now here we are. You want to use it, but you don't want to pay any money for it. And what is happening is that now, if there is any problem with the ATM machine, one, you have to go out and send somebody to come from outside to come and fix it. Then secondly, you have to pay for the flights. All this money will have to be embedded and will have to be borne by the consumer. So I think we have to be very careful. Cost of research and development. You find that even in the advanced countries, for example in the US, the cost of interest, the interest rate is 0.5%, 0.25. But here, it's about 30%. So I think we have to understand that research and development takes a lot of money. And if we have to look at this way, we cannot force it on the banks because CBN cannot force it on the banks to reduce this one drastically. So I think you have to be very careful to understand this kind of thing. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Senator Bocha.
Thank you, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, I think in my own opinion, this is one of the most important issues that is coming by way of a motion that we are going to address, because a lot of Nigerians are dying in silence because of these outrageous charges by banks. Mr. President, the prayers we will need to remodel these prayers, or possibly even come by way of legislative intervention, a law that will ensure that these matters are laid to rest. Not only all of us seated here, the common man in the village who manages to go to open an account to take his little salary is also a victim. And you see banks declaring profit. Mr. President, you see banks declaring profit, you will be wondering what are those sources of profit. I can assure you most of these profits that are being declared are sweat of common Nigerians that are working hard to earn a living. For those who have stolen enough money, don't bother about these charges because they don't even know. Those who have our common wealth in their hands don't even bother about these charges. But the common man in the village is the one that bears the brunt. Let me give you an example, Mr. President. I took a facility in the 7th Senate. And after paying the whole facility, a young man came to my office and told me that his work, that he specializes in recovering overcharges for customers in banks. So I said, okay, go ahead and take a look at this account. After he had interacted with the bank and myself, he was able to recover money that I could not believe. that was wrongly charged. And this is the case in virtually most of the facilities that we take. Now, if we can confront this institutional corruption, we will be able to give a briefing space to a lot of Nigerians that are suffering this process of fraud in an institution that ought to have been operating with a refined, sanity. So, Mr. President, I want to support this motion and add that let it not just be a motion which may end up with a persuasive power. If need be, let us come up with a law that will put the banks on their toes, that Nigerians don't suffer these charges anymore. This money you see, 50 naira that is being charged, and we ignore it. If you multiply 50 naira by the population of like 70 million Nigerians, it is a money that will restore industrialization in Nigeria. And we must treat this as a very, very important matter, Mr. President. I congratulate my brother GOP who actually, KOB who brought this motion, and I want to encourage all of us to support this motion. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gaya.
Order, please.
Which order again?
Point of order, Senator Mawagon.
Order 5610. Order 5610. I'm raising this order because Senator Ababio and Senator Bassi are discussing on a loud tone, discussing financial matters while we are discussing different issues. So Bassi should be asked to come back to his seat and allow Senator Ababio to, because we are discussing financial issues that affect Nigeria, not Akwa Ibom.
Thank you, Senator Mao, for your observation. I did not see it, but I think it's important that both Senator Albert being a former Commissioner of Finance and Senator Akpabio being a former Chief Executive, they have a lot to contribute on this subject matter. So they should please pay attention so that they can contribute on this very important subject matter. Point of order sustained. Senator Gaya.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I am Kabiru Ibrahim Gaya from Kano State, within the people of Kano South. Mr. President, I would like to commend my brother, my friend, who is now a comrade. Olubenga is a comrade for bringing up this important motion. And Mr. President, the Senate must take serious stand on this issue. Nigerians are really suffering by the bank charges of at least about 60, not even 50 naira. It's now 65 naira per withdrawal. So you put your ATM card, takes you 500 naira, 65 naira is gone. So our people are really complaining seriously on this matter. And Mr. President, this matter should really be looked into. And then the issue of even the banking system in Nigeria, sir, is not encouraging us. Last few weeks, I took out statement of my account and I complained to my banker. They looked at it. They say, yeah, there are some errors and some funds were returned to me. So that people like us, like Senator Bocha, who has also complained to the bank and got his money refunded. How many Nigerians can go to the bank and request for refund of the money taken unnecessarily by the banks? So, Your Excellency, the issue of the banking system in Nigeria really needs to be addressed, especially on the charges they are charging people. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gamadi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Barnabas Gamade. I represent Benue Northeast Senatorial District. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I rise at this time to also lend my voice of support to this well thought out motion. Mr. President, when the banks were forced to move all public funds from commercial banks to the central bank under the single account policy of government, all of them shouted that they would be denied business and they were going to face a very serious problem of breaking even. At the end of the day, we see that they have now devised all kinds of ways of making money, more money than when TCN was not in force. Because they keep declaring very, very bounty profits at the end of each year. This is to show that a lot of these charges are being brought to bear on ordinary common citizens of this country for no just cause whatsoever. And I think pointing out this particular one, which is the MTN charges, ATM charges, which are now in hundreds of millions per day, it's a matter which must be looked into very, very seriously. Because most of the time, people go to ATM machine, and because of certain limits they have created, you make about 10 transactions with one card. And for each transaction, there is this charge. It's an illegal business which is being condoned by the central bank because they are supposed to actually moderate the practice of banking in Nigeria. When we make proposals of legislation in Parliament touching on contribution of certain percentage of profit to issues like social housing, issues like insurance policy for the poor, issues like education, everybody shouts that you cannot force the banks to pay money to these programs, whereas they are forcing citizens to pay money to their own bottom line. I think this matter needs to be looked at very seriously. I support all the prayers that have been raised in this matter, and I think central bank should be called upon to also review its practice of supervising these issues more critically and more seriously. I so submit. Thank you.
And so just permit me allow just two more people who have shown interest. Senator Samego and Senator Ume, after that we'll go to press.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Sam Egu. I represent Ebonyi North Senatorial District. Mr. President, I rise to support the mover of this motion, Senator Ashafa, for this wonderful motion. The truth of the matter, Mr. President, is that the regulatory agencies are part and parcel of the problem. They are beneficiaries of these illegal deductions. So there is no way they will not try to protect their interests. What is happening with the ATM machine is not just the ATM machine, including if you do electronic transfer of money, deductions are also made. And like the DSP said, the same thing, these illegal deductions is not limited to the bank. We observe it with the electricity sector and even with the service providers, especially MTN. It is unfortunate that it's only in this country where people, organizations, including international organizations, come and feed fat on the masses. Like in MTN, they have charges for even as little as ringing tone. Even when you don't have a ringing tone on your phone, they will deduct for it. They will give you a number to dial if you want it to be stopped. But if you dial that number, it never go through. That is the issue. So, Mr. President, I support this motion. I feel that the head of these regulatory agencies should be held responsible. It is because of failure of their duties that this is happening. We had earlier discussed about the killings in this country, where people that are given responsibility to make sure that things are done well are not doing their job. And there are no consequences for the failure of their duties. Because there's no consequences, nobody is held accountable, the same thing will continue to happen day in and day out. So I support this motion, and I feel that we should not just end up by prayers and resolutions. We should come up with adequate laws that will make it mandatory for them to obey
what we have said. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Ume.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Victor Ume. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, this motion is a very, very important one. Senator Ashafa brought this motion using ATM transactions to illustrate what is going on in the banking sector. But this is just a small tip of the iceberg, this type of charge he complained about. Most times, when we see debit charges on our accounts, people just gloss over them because they may be 52 naira, 100 naira, 150 naira. But like Senator Boacha said, when you aggregate all the customers a bank has and apply these charges, it runs into hundreds of millions of naira. It's not just that. Mr. President, the banks have been exploiting their customers to the extent that even the Consumer Protection Council has not done anything. How much more the Central Bank of Nigeria? We don't have protection of consumers in this country. We have the councils that will do this work, but it's unfortunate to say that they are aware of what is going on, but what happens is that people are settled, and this money they make, they share it with people who are supposed to protect the Nigerian customers and citizens. It's very unfortunate. There's a case of Innocent Nigeria Limited and GTB, which is very well celebrated in the media, where a customer, because if we talk about these things, we think they are small things. If you get to the experience of big customers, people who are doing big businesses with the banks, you see what they go through. Innocent had cause to come to this Senate with a complaint. And in his own case, after reconciliation, overcharges were accepted to be 560 million overcharges on the accounts of the company. And they've been running from one pillar to post up till today. Many people suffered the same fate. So I think the Central Bank of Nigeria should know that the Nigerian people need to be protected. If you get your account details every month, you see frivolous charges. One, notification charges. When you withdraw money, you have a debit alert. At the end of the month, the bank charges you for notifying you of your withdrawals. What is then the cost of doing business on the part of the bank? What do they give to the customers in return? Anything you do, you use their lounges, executive lounge. At the end of the month, you are charged 15,000 for using the executive lounge of the bank to come and do business in the bank. Some of these charges ought to be dispensed with. And the Central Bank of Nigeria ought to be told the hard facts. They are the regulatory authority in the banking sector. But they have bank examination departments, well staffed. And these people, they are supposed to do routine examination of operations of banks. Banks have internal auditors, and these bank examination officials from the CBN, they go to these banks and their branches, stay there sometimes 2 weeks, and then sign their papers that nothing is going wrong and go away. They collect money. People continue to suffer. So I think this motion brought by Senator Ashafa is a very great one. And after discussing it, like everybody has shown interest in this motion, we will need to see concrete action taken. The CBN should be able to revoke the licenses of banks that violate banking regulations. There's no point when you do it, they go and catch them. And before you know it, they are settled. They go back. And the fraud will continue going cyclically without any check. Outside the shores of this country, people don't pay interest on a lot of things anymore. Banks beg you to come and take loan. Interest rate may be 4%, 3%, 2.5. Here, the cost of borrowing in Nigeria kills businesses. And yet, like Boacha said, profit that are declared every quarter. There was one I saw on the television one day. A bank I thought that was struggling. First quarter profit, 13 billion. First quarter. Banks don't used to make this type of numbers in the past. And you see that it is the customers that bear this brunt. All this through these charges that we get to pay. Anything you do, you pay the bank. Anything you do, you pay the bank. Yet, they will tell you 0 COT. Before you check your account, you see that it's better you pay COT. Because they come from the side with all kinds of charges. And they take unimaginable sums of money from your account. So, there should be strict enforcement of the regulations by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Central Bank Examination Department should take serious responsibility in this regard. And any bank found violating these things should be asked. If you revoke the license of a bank, others will sit up. Finally, Mr. President, I thank you for giving me a second opportunity today. As a member of ABGA, I'm the only senator in this chamber. And when they start fighting from left and right, I'm always protected by your leadership. You give me the opportunity to contribute. Today, you're giving me the opportunity twice. I appreciate it because most times, because I'm alone here, I always try to say something to contribute to things that will help this Senate and Nigeria as a nation. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues have allowed a lot of contribution on this subject matter because it's a very good motion that's come from Senator Shafa, and it's also a motion that touches on the lives of every Nigerian, irrespective of what party or political affiliation might have. And I think that is the purpose of why we're here, to always defend and protect the interests of our people. Before we go to the prayers, I want also, on considering the prayer, we should look at ways to truly go beyond just a debate, so that whatever action we take, we have done this many a times before in this Senate, when initially there was a hike by mobile telecommunication in data charges. We came in and we put an end to that. Also electricity prices increase, we also took action, and also a number of cases like that. This is another one, so I want us to take good resolutions that will be effective. And for me personally, the first ATM machine that came to Nigeria over 25 years ago, I introduced it personally. So I have a very thought by now, after 25 years, issues of charges like this will have grown out of that and moved on. So I think it's something that we must address to ensure that we create an environment that protects a lot of Nigerians, because this kind of charges now, especially how tough the economy is really biting. So I thank Senator Shafa for that, and all those who have contributed in the debate, and let us hope that we have some resolutions that can truly put an end to this and ensure that these kind of charges, we have ways of preventing them from coming about. So let's go straight to the prayers. Prayer 1, direct the committees on banking, insurance and other financial institutions and finance to conduct an investigation into propriety of ATM card maintenance charges in comparison with international best practices, and report back to the Senate. Those in favor of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. There is a prayer 2, mandate the Committee on Banking, Banking, Insurance and other financial institutions to invite the Governor of Central Bank to appear before the committee in order to explain why the official charges as approved by CBN are skewed in favor of the banking institution as against the ordinary customers of the banks. Those in favor of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. There is a prayer 3, urge the Central Bank. Okay. Yeah, Senator Barrow.
Barrow Jibril, Mr. President, Kano North. I want prayer 3 to be amended as follows. I move 3. Oh, 2 has passed now. Okay.
Senator Barrow.
Follows. Urge the Central Bank of Nigeria to suspend the ATM card maintenance charges being deducted from customers' account, as well as instructing the commercial banks to reconfigure their ATMs to allow customers to withdraw a maximum of 40 naira per withdrawal. 40 naira per withdrawal. 40,000 naira per withdrawal. Pending the outcome of the investigation by the committee, by the committee. That is to make it mandatory for the banks to reconfigure their machines so that you can withdraw up to 40 naira per withdrawal. But for now, it's only 10,000. They charge you. They will charge you.
All right, any seconder to that prayer? Yes, Senator Keita.
Thank you, Ahmed Mohammed, representing Kathena North. I rise to second the amendment made by Senator Baruch.
All right, distinguished colleagues, amendment to prayer 3 says, urge the Central Bank of Nigeria to suspend the ATM card maintenance charges being deducted from customers' account pending the outcome investigation by the committees, and also to allow the ATM machines to make a 40,000 per withdrawal. The bank should configure the machines to allow 40,000 per withdrawal. Those in favor of that amendment say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Change, you want to say something?
Yeah, Mr. President, I'm thinking that there is no need of being too much in a hurry. We have already resolved that there should be an investigation. It's important that we collect enough information that will enable us to take a more lasting, sustainable decision on this issue. So, prayers 2 and 3 should be deleted pending the outcome of the investigations, because it will be too preemptive going to take decisions on a matter that we have just decided to investigate. That's my position, Mr. President.
Yeah, but I think the two can go simultaneously, because nothing is lost if you suspend. I mean, if after the investigation they found that they can reactivate. Prayer 4, urge the Consumer Protection Council to be up and doing in taking up the plight of ordinary Nigerians by looking into the various complaints of excess and unnecessary charges by Nigerian banks. Those in favor of prayer 4 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Any additional prayer? Yes, Dr. Senator Dada.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think additional prayer will read, all Central Bank of Nigeria to introduce higher denomination notes. Higher denomination notes. That's 2,000 naira notes, 5,000 naira notes.
Sorry? Come again.
Can I go right? That I also been to introduce higher banknotes, higher denomination notes of 2,000, 5,000. So that will reduce the frequency where customers are putting claims.
Distinguished colleagues, let's again thank Senator Gwenga Shafa for that. And so for the chairman, banking and vice chairman are not here, but definitely let's ensure the message is passed to them that they should work quickly so that a report is brought back to the Senate, and in the meantime they can also ensure that they engage with the central bank to see that the immediate steps are taken to at least reduce the difficult of our Nigerians presently. Senator Samayam, I see you walked in. We just referred this to banking and finance, and we're just ensuring that the committee takes the matter with the importance and seriousness and urgency it deserves, both in investigating what has led to these charges, and in the meantime urging central bank to see that they suspend those charges in the meantime, and why we can find a long-term solution or the way forward. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the consideration of the reports of the Committee on Local and Foreign Debts in respect of the new external capital raising of USD $2.786 billion from the international capital market approved in the 2018 Appropriation Act and the external capital raising of USD $82.54 million to finance the balance of USD 500 million matured Eurobond in the international capital market. Mr. President, distinguished senators will recall that the report of the committee was laid yesterday, Tuesday, the 16th of October 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Shehu Sani to move the motion for the Senate to consider the report of the committee.
Senator Shehu Sani.
I stand as Senator Shehu Sani to move that the Senate do consider the report on the implementation of the new external capital raising of the US $2.7 billion from the international capital market approved in the 2018 Appropriation Act and the external capital raising of US $82.54 million to refinance the balance of the $500 million matured Euro bond in the international capital market. I so move.
Senator Gershon-Bassi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Gershon-Bassi, Cross River South. I rise to second the motion moved by Senator Shehu Sani. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that the Senate do consider this report say aye. Those against say nay. Yes, aye. Senator Shehu Sani, present the report, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to the findings and recommendations of this report. The following were observed by the committee. 1. That the proposed external capital raising of $82.54 million to finance the balance of $500 million matured Euro bond in the international capital market, which matured on 12 July 2018 with an interest rate of 5.125%. 2. That the issuance of the US $2.786 billion and $82.54 million from international capital market is for the part financing of the 2018 budget with particular interest to finance key infrastructure projects proposed in the 2018 budget. The committee also observed that the external capital raising of US $2.786 billion will result in a portfolio mix of domestic debt of 68% and external debt of 32%, which is an improvement over the ratio of 70-30 as at June 30, 2018. Thus brings the debt portfolio mix closer to the target of 60-40. The committee further observed that the issuance of these bonds will contribute to the implementation of the debt management strategy, which seeks to reduce the cost of borrowing, lengthen the maturity of the public debt stock, free up space in the domestic market for other borrowers, and will help to increase Nigeria's external reserves. And these are our recommendations. The committee do recommend, 1, that the Senate do approve the issuance of $2.786 billion from the international capital market approved in the 2018 Appropriation Act. And 2, that the Senate do approve the issuance of $82.54 million to refinance the balance of the $500 million matured Euro bond in the international capital market. 3, that the Senate do approve the issuance of the above, but advise that the federal government shall do everything possible to reduce or limit its request for more external borrowing and search for other means of generating revenue internally. This is to avoid a cleverly managed reconquest debt overhang of our country. The committee expresses its gratitude to the leadership of the Senate and the entire members of the Senate for the confidence bestowed on it to do its work effectively and efficiently. We therefore move that the Senate do approve the issuance of US dollars 2.786 approved in the 2018 Appropriation Act and US dollars 82.54 million to refinance the budget of 500 million matured Eurobond in the international capital market. I so move, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, let me commend the chairman of this committee and his members for the expeditious treatment of this particular request from the executive arm of government. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, this particular aspect of the loan that would be sourced from outside of Nigeria will be, as a way of reminder, particularly to fund the capital aspect of the 2018 appropriation. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to take this opportunity to urge the executive arm of government to take the opportunity as quickly as possible, go for the Eurobond, and come back and implement the aspects of the budget that needs to be financed with this. For us, we also need to ensure that we carry out our oversight function on the executive arm of government to ensure that these funds are properly applied and utilized for the benefits of all Nigerians across the country. With this, Mr. President, I want to urge all of us to support the very good work done by our committee and hope that the other side of National Assembly, the House, would have done the same so that this is sent to the executive as quickly as possible. Thank you very much, sir.
Deputy Senate President.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'd like to join the Senate leader in thanking the committee for the very expeditious manner they dealt with this request. I think that it is important that we see to it as a parliament that these monies are well utilized. Previously, we've approved a number of requests such as this, but I don't think we've had enough time to look at the implementation of the projects for which the loans were secured. And I think this is time for us to rise and ensure that not only the proper application of this particular loan, but the previous ones which we too have passed or approved in this National Assembly. So I think that it's important too that probably as soon as possible, we should be able to have opportunity to go back and find out how these monies have been applied, because these are not grants. These are loans of which we paid either by this generation or the next generation. And if that is the case, we must ensure the proper utilization of these monies. And even those who help us with these facilities, I'm sure they will be impressed if they see to it that as a parliament, we are ensuring accountability, we are ensuring proper usage, we are monitoring the implementation of the projects for which they are used. So it is important that we put this into consideration even as we have passed this, but I support that this be passed as quickly as possible.
Yes, and Jibrin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Bado Jibrin.
Thank you very much.
I want to join the leader and the DSP in commending the committee for doing a wonderful job in a very short period. I think what remains now is to make sure that everything goes well by getting the approval by this August Senate and having also the approval of the House of Reps so that the 2018 budget will begin to be fully implemented. And a lot of infrastructural works that need to be done so that we can further put this country in a situation where we have the enabling environment to allow for our industry to grow, our real sector in general to grow, and so on and so forth. So it is really necessary that the Ministry of Finance, after the approval and after the money has been realized from the lenders, it should not waste any time any longer, but make sure that the money is provided so that all these good things that have been provided in the budget will now be implemented. I want to recall again that we should also stand and make sure that we do our oversight very well, particularly the Committee on Finance, to making sure that these monies are released immediately, and then the committees also go to their various MDAs under their jurisdictions to make sure that the budget is fully implemented, particularly as we are going into an election year next year. It's really important that the monies necessary for all the ministries should be provided so that all that people need will be provided for them as enshrined in 2018 Appropriation Act. I so mean, Mr. President.
So let me go to the recommendations. Recommendation 1, that the Senate do approve the issuance of 2.786 billion from the international capital market approved in the 2018 Appropriation Act. Those in favor of recommendation 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 2, that the Senate do approve the issuance of 82.54 million to refinance the balance of the 500 million matured Eurobond in the international capital market. Those in favor of recommendation 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 3, that the Senate do approve the issuance of the above, but advise that the federal government should do everything possible to reduce or limit its request for more external borrowing and source further means of generating revenue internally. This to avoid a cleverly managed request of our country through debt overhang. Those in favor of recommendation 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And I think I want to, based on the comments of everybody that's spoken, introduce another recommendation. Recommendation saying that our various committees should carry out extensive oversight on the various MDAs to see that either the previous loans that have been granted have been properly utilized, and that we should fix this oversight immediately. Those in favor of recommendation, new recommendation, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We will look and fix before the end of the week, fix a date where all of us will go, all the committees will go and carry oversight to ensure that these previous loans have been properly utilized. I think yet again, let me thank the committee, let me thank our members for this cooperation with the executive to ensure that we quickly pass this loan to ensure the funding of the 2018 budget. I thank all those that have contributed to this debate. Do you have a mic?
Yeah.
Point of order, Senator Dube.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Dube. I don't know why everybody is looking at me. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to come under Order 43, and that is personal explanation, which all of us know. And it's nothing new, but just to remind us that we are here from different constituencies to represent Nigeria on issues, and we are bound to disagree. But we are supposed to disagree in order to agree, not to fight. I erred by interjecting when the DSP was speaking, and I felt guilty because he kept quiet and sat down. So I want to use this opportunity to apologize to DSP. It was not personal, it's just that it's one of those things that we have to do here. I also want to say that yesterday, similar thing happened, Mr. President, where Kabiru, my distinguished senior brother, Bukar Abba Ibrahim, said something, and I announced it, and my colleague was angry, and I was asked to apologize. I did apologize. And today, distinguished Senator Okpabio and the leader have never been so angry the way they were, the way they expressed themselves. So I want to, on your behalf,
apologize to Opabio and the leader, since I'm used to volunteering to apologize on behalf of people. Okay, thank you very much. That is what I want to say, Mr.
Thank you very much, the Senator Ndume. Yet again, you've shown your years of being part of the civil arm of government and your maturity in the interest of, as you rightly said, it is not out of place sometimes for tempers to flare, but at the end of the day, is to see that our responsibility is to serve our people and do it in a cordial and harmonious manner. So I appreciate you. Yeah, point of order, leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, with your permission, I read by order 43, by the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, the Senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate. But no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I came under this order to expatiate and to give my position on what Senator Ndume attempted to do. Mr. President, we are human beings and we have emotions. And when we belong to different political persuasions, that even makes it a little bit complex and complicated. When I spoke the way I did and the time I did, I was conscious of the fact that I was Senate leader, not APC leader. Okay. But I also believe that I need to protect everyone. I felt at that point that the distinguished Senator Akpabio wasn't given the kind of opportunity I thought he would have. I believe that you meant well. I might have felt maybe if it was someone on the other side, it could be different. And therefore my reaction was not in any way targeted at making anybody to feel uncomfortable. I have the role of ensuring that this chamber is run properly and in a very steady and smooth fashion. Therefore, when we experience that kind of scenario, it is not like we are fighting to kill. It's that aspect of political dispositions coming into play that we exhibited. I don't want to encourage this kind of incident to happen in the Senate. And as leaders of the Senate and our colleagues who have given us this trust, I want to urge us to at all times try to be as polite as we can. For me, I will continue to do my best to be as polite as I can. Mr. President, you recall that when I sat on that side as Senator Ahmed Lawan, for most of the time, I was like what I did today. For most of the time, because I didn't carry any responsibility. I would speak my mind the way everybody will listen to me. But since I became Senate leader, that burden kept me so low that before I could say anything, I would have to think 1, 2, 3, or even 10 times. So please, I urge you all my colleagues that what happened should be part of our history, that we disagreed, not because there was anybody that was targeted at. We disagreed because we felt there was some kind of partisanship. But Mr. President, let me exonerate you, and I know that tomorrow you wouldn't mind if Senator Akpabio decides to sit where there's no microphone. If he chooses and he is given the right to sit wherever he decides to sit, that is his choice. I hope that my explanation is accepted, that we continue to have our chamber rancor free, and to the glory of God, this Senate will produce what is required for Nigeria to move forward.
Well, Leader, I thought you were going to go one step further than that, and I think, well, I cannot give advice when I'm not advised to, but I thought you'd have gone one step further than that. I think let me just re-emphasize, we've been in this chamber now for over 3.5 years, and I think by now we should be able to understand, all of us, that this period of the next 6 months, of course, there would be issues with the political parties. Even Senator Akpabio, we don't even know whether he's still going to go back to where he came from, but be that as it may. But even if he doesn't, the point I'm saying is that we're all senators, and we have been senators, and we have been together for many years. I don't think we should allow the next 6 months to define. And the point, as I said to Senator Kwabio, and I defend myself, there is no senator here that speaks from where all I asked him to do was to go where there was a microphone, and the matter will have been resolved. Please, I want to assure you that as I continue to preside, I will ensure that I am not partisan in any manner at all. And there was nothing sensitive that Senator Kwabio was going to say that wouldn't have allowed him to say. I mean, the issues before us were to do with Akwa Ibom, and I'm sure he has the right to do. So I want to assure you that unfortunately we take your point that yes, sometimes, you know, tempers do flare here and there, but let us try and manage it in that manner. And I've told the clerk to make sure that by next week people will have where to sit, and I assure you that this kind of scenario will not happen. And on the part of my group lawyer, Senator Akpabio, if you felt that in any manner at all that I did not give you the opportunity, I take that back. It was not meant to be like that. I just wanted us to do things orderly, where we must speak where there's a microphone. But apart from that, you always have your rights as a member of the APC. Thank you, my brother. DSP.
Sorry, sir, that this thing is dragging, but I think there's one aspect of it we must put in our records and for public knowledge. That's what our rule says about this scenario. So it's not as if anybody's inventing anything. The issue of where anybody sits and where he speaks from is also guided by our rules. We have not been able to establish this today, so I just want to put it on record that this is purely governed by the 11 of our rules. And I would like to read, and then I'll sit down, sir. He said that the president of the Senate shall allocate a seat to each senator. 2, a senator may only speak from a seat allocated to him, provided that the president of the Senate may change the allocation from time to time. It's also had to be understood that the job of the presiding officer is to ensure that every senator will have opportunity to speak. Why that is also is recognized, we must also know that there's order and procedure upon which this must be achieved. So it's not as if we just say everybody speaks where he wants to speak from, and or there's you sit where you want to sit. There's an order, and the rules are provided for how this is done. But as I said, it is important at all times that every senator have opportunity to speak. But in doing so, we must be guided by our rules.
Thank you very much. We've moved on this subject matter. We have ruled on it. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, based on the request by the chairman of the committee, I move that we stand down the consideration of the next order. That's the 4th order of the day. Tomorrow, the next legislative day. I so move.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I rise to second that we stand down the 4th order till another legislative date. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion, say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the 5th order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition on the screening of the following persons for appointment as chairman and members of the Code of Conduct Bureau. 1. Dr. Mohammed Isa, Chairman, Jigawa State, Northwest. 2. Murtala Kankia, member Katsina State, Northwest. 3. Emmanuel E. Atta, member Cross River, South-South. 4. Danjuma Sado, member Edo, South-South. 5. Ubulo Okpanachi, member Kogi State, North Central. 6. Ken Madaki Alkali, member Nasarawa State, North Central. 7. Professor S.F. Ogundare, member Oyo State, Southwest. 8. Honorable Ganiyu Hamzat, member Ogun State, Southwest. 9. Saad A. Abubakar, member Gombe State, Northeast. And 10. Dr. Vincent Nwali, member Ebonyi State. The single senators will recall the report of the committee was laid Tuesday, the 17th of July, 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite very distinguished and hard-working Senator Samuel Anyawu, chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the consideration of the report.
Senator Samuel Anyawu.
Leader. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, Samuel Anyawu, Imo East. I rise to move that the Senate do consider the report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions on the screening of nominees for appointment as chairman and members of Code of Conduct Bureau. 1. Dr. Mohammed Issa, Mr. President, as read by the leader. I so move.
Senator Chindu. Those in favor that the Senate do consider the report of the Chairman of Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions on the screening of nominees for appointment as chairman members of the Code of Conduct Bureau as listed. Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator, you will present the report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, Sam Anyawu, Imo East. Mr. President, the Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 20th December 2017.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, leader says. With discussions of former governors,
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate suspends order 13 to enable us to sit beyond 2 o'clock p.m.
That's to second that we suspend order 13 to enable us to sit beyond 2 o'clock. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion to extend sitting beyond 2 o'clock say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Carry on, Senator Samayo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. The Senate at its sitting on Wednesday, 20th December 2017, considered and referred the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for confirmation of the appointment of Dr. Mohammed Issa and 9 others as chairman and members of the Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB, to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions for further legislative action. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the confirmation is in compliance with Section 1.3 of the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act 1991, which stipulates that the Bureau shall consist of a chairman and 9 other members. The chairman and other members shall be appointed by the President, subject to confirmation of the Senate. I would like to move to item 2, 3, all for committee work. Then item 4 on page 3 has to do with the resumes of the nominees. So you can go through. Then Item number 6. Item number 6 on page 8 has to do with the observations and findings. After studying the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act 1991 and other relevant documents in respect of the nominees, the committee found as follows. 1. That the nomination of the candidates for appointment in the Code of Conduct Bureau was in line with Section 1.3 of the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act 1991. 2. That the 8 nominees that showed up for the screening had all been cleared by the Nigerian Police, the Department of State Services, and possessed the Code of Conduct acknowledgement slips. 3. That they had no petitions against them before the committee. 4. That all the senators from their states of origin endorsed their nomination. 5. That the committee could not continue with the screening of one of the nominees, Danjuma Sadu, when it discovered that he was 39 years below the age of 50, as specified in the CCB Act Section 1P. This section says that the Bureau shall consist of a chairman and 9 other members who shall be at the time of appointment not less than 50 years. 6. That from their educational background, experience and exposure, as noticed during their screening, only 7 nominees are suitable, qualified and competent to hold such high office as the Code of Conduct Bureau on behalf of government and the nation, Nigeria. Recommendations. After carefully studied the CCB Act and related documents in respect of the nomination of the chairman and members of CCB, and having sat with the nominees in question and answer sections, the committee hereby recommends as follows. A. That the Senate do confirm the nomination of Dr. Mohammed Issa as chairman CCB. 2. Motola Aliyu as CCB member CCB. 3. Emmanuel Edu Ata as member CCB. 4. Ubolo I. Opanachi as member CCB. 5. Ken Madaki Alkali as member CCB. 6. Professor S.F. Ogundare as member CCB. 7. Said A. Abubakar as member CCB. B. That the Senate is unable to confirm the nomination of Mr. Danjuma Sado because he is below the approved age of 50 years as specified in Section 1P of the CCB Act. And C. That the executive is advised to appoint 3 other nominees for consideration as members of CCB to complete the number of members statutorily required. Conclusion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, on behalf of the committee, I express my appreciation to the Senate and the entire Senate President and the entire Senate for the opportunity to serve. I would like to correct, Mr. President, that the page, the nominee, second nominee is not West, Casina, it's not West, right? It's not West and not, it's a typical error here, not West and not East. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm done with that, Mr. President.
Any contribution otherwise will go into result committee of the whole. Leader Senator Samego.
Thank you, Mr. President. Samego Ebonyi North. Mr. President, while I appreciate and thank the committee for a job well done, I just feel that it is proper if the committee had just mentioned that the 10th name as submitted by Mr. President did not show up for the screening. No, what you just said, you mentioned name, you didn't mention, it's not in the report. You just said that 8 showed up, and that is not enough. You could have gone ahead to say that this person from this state did not show up for interview. Even if you just say 8 showed up, look at the report very well. It is nothing was mentioned of that person that did not show up. Nothing was mentioned. So I think the name
it should have been mentioned that he didn't show up in the report. So that's my observation, Mr. President.
Chairman, ethics.
Mr. Chairman, the names that were brought, what was actually brought to us by the SSA to the President on National Assembly matters are the ones that was clear. Actually, there's supposed to be 10, but 8 names were forwarded. So it was implied that the 2 were not given to us. So they didn't appear. So it's not, I can't manufacture human beings and then win. They didn't appear. They didn't show up at all. Oh, okay. I'll bring out the names later.
Yeah, read out the list of those that appeared before you. Is that on page 9 of your report? Page 9 of your report?
Yes, I've mentioned them. I said the names that appeared before the committee were clear, the 8 names. That Dr. Mohammed Isa as chairman, Murtala Aliyu as member, 3, Emmanuel Edu Atta as member, 4, Ubolo I. Obanachi as member, 5, Ken Madaki Akali as member, 6, Professor S.F. Ogundare as member, 7, Said A. Abaka as member, 8, Danjuma Sajo, 8. As a member, but that was one was disqualified because of that. So 7 of these were cleared. But they didn't get justice. They were supposed to.
Okay, leader. No result committee of the whole, there's nothing.
So, President, before we go to the committee of the whole, you said only 8 names or 8 nominees were considered. The letter conveying the nominations carried 10 names. So actually something happened. The 2 missing nominees, either that their nominations were withdrawn and there was no letter, or whatever the reason, we must understand what it is. We need to understand what.
Chairman, ethics, can you tell us categorically, is it that they did not turn up, or is it that their CVs were never sent? What exactly happened?
Their CVs were never sent. They never showed up because all of them were led into the committee by the SSA to the president and confirmed to us that they did not show up. You know, so we couldn't manufacture.
But did you get any position formally to explain why he turned up with 8 people instead of 10 people? Did he make any explanation?
Before we proceeded, we gave him an opportunity to address the committee. And he told us that these 8 people were the people that came, that the 2 did not show up. Simple.
Yes, Deputy Senate President.
My information is that they withdrew after they were nominated. So that's why they didn't show up. And of course, at that level, they're not answerable to the committee. So they don't need to write to the committee. They wrote to the people who nominated them in the first place. So I think it's yes, for issue of voluntary.
The order would have been that the presidency should have written to you to say that they are taking out these 2 nominees just for us.
No, leader, sometimes they don't do that. So yeah, there are many cases where people have been sent forward, and for example, if you look at the case of NDDC, when Senator Osita did not accept, he just did not turn up, and later on, much later on, the presidency now sent a new name. So I'm sure some new names will be coming in yeah.
Having said all those things we said, I now move that the Senate resolves into the committee of the whole to consider the report.
Second, Mr. President, that the Senate do resolve into the committee of the whole to consider the matter.
Those in favor of the motion that we should resolve in committee of the whole, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, go to page 9 of the report. The recommendation here is that the Senate hereby recommends as follows: that the Senate do confirm the appointment of that is recommendation A, Dr. Mohamed Issa as chairman, Mutala Aliyu as member, Emmanuel Eno Atta as member, Ubolo N. Opanachi as member, Ken Madaki Ali as member, Professor S.F. Ugundari as member, Said A. Abubakar as member. That is on page 9, recommendation A. Those in favor of recommendation A say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 2, that the Senate is unable to confirm the nomination of Mr. Danjuma Sado because he's below the approved age. Those in favor of recommendation B say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And recommendation 3, that the executive's advice to appoint 3 other nominees for constitutional members of CCB to complete the number of members statutorily required. Those in favor of recommendation C say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. Chairman, very distinguished colleagues, I move that the Senate reverse plenary for the charter report progress.
The chairman the Senate revert to plenary to report progress.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions on the screening of Mr. President nominees for appointment as chairman and members of Code of Conduct Bureau CCB and approved the nominations of 1. Dr. Mohamed Issa, Chairman Jigawa Northwest, Mutala A. Kanke, member Katsina Northwest, Emmanuel Atta, member Cross River South South, Bolo Panachi, member Kogi North Central, Ken Madaki Alkali, member Nasarawa North Central, Professor S.F. Ogundari, member Oyo Southwest, and Saad A. Abubakar, member Gombe Northeast. As chairman and members of the Code of Conduct CCB, the Senate did not approve the nomination of Danjuma Sado from Edo State, South South. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Dr. Mohamed Issa as chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Mohamed Issa is hereby confirmed as chairman of the Code of Conduct Bureau. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Murtala A. Kanker, member of the Code of Conduct Bureau? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Murtala A. Kanker is hereby confirmed as member of Code of Conduct Bureau. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Emmanuel E. Atta as member of the Code of Conduct Bureau? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Emmanuel E. Atta is hereby confirmed as member of the Code of Conduct Bureau. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Bolo Opanachi as member of the Code of Conduct? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Ubulu L. Opanachi is hereby confirmed as member of the Code of Conduct Bureau. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Ken Madaki Alkali as member of the Code of Conduct Bureau? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Ken Madaki Alkali is hereby confirmed as member of the Code of Conduct Bureau. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Professor S.F. Obundari as member of the Code of Conduct Bureau? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Professor S.F. Obundari is hereby confirmed as member of the Code of Conduct Bureau. Will the Senate confirm the nomination of Saad A. Abubakar as member of the Code of Conduct Bureau? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And the nomination of Saad A. Abubakar is hereby confirmed as member of the Code of Conduct Bureau. Distinguished colleagues, let me, on behalf of the Senate, congratulate the new members, chairman and members of the Code of Conduct Bureau on their appointment of a very important institution that continue to play a key role in our policy and our fight against corruption. I hope that these members and the chairman will ensure that they bring their wealth of experience, integrity to these very important bureau that is so important in ensuring that we ensure transparency and accountability in public service. I wish them all a successful tenure. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the sixth order of the day is the second reading of the Immigration Act Amendment Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, the 16th of March 2016. Mr. President, we wish to invite Senator Bola and Dada to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Dada.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I move that the brief on Act to amend the Immigration Act for the other matters connected with 2018 SB 23 for second reading. Mr. President, sir, esteemed colleagues, Immigration Act Amendment Bill 2018 SB 203. Mr. President, esteemed colleagues, permit me to lead debate on the general principles of this important bill on an act to amend the Immigration Act 2015 and other matters connected with. The short titles of this bill is Immigration Act Amendment Bill 2018 SB 203. This bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, 16th March 2016. The major objectives of this amendment bill as follows. 1. To provide additional duties for the Consul General with respect to issuance and monitoring of business permits, expatriate quotas to foreigners, effective transfer of technology to Nigerians, understudying expatriates, and producing a database for all the expatriates working in this country, Nigeria. To provide funding through appropriation by National Assembly for procurement and installation of border system security equipment, e-gate, world-class scanners, and so on and so forth, to aid immigration activities and promote security at Nigerian borders. Distinguished colleagues, it is public knowledge that our borders are very porous. It is reported that about 1,479 illegal borders exist in Nigeria. The implication of this is the illegal aliens, contrabands, illicit weapons can swiftly be brought into the country unnoticed through all these porous borders. As today, Nigeria share about 773 kilometers border stretch, with Benin Republic about 87 kilometers, with Chad a stretch of 1,049 kilometers with Niger Republic and 1,690 kilometers with Cameroon. Furthermore, an investigation conducted by National Daily revealed that over 250 footpaths exist between Damanturu and Maduguri axis, with direct link to Cameroon, Chad, and Niger. Unfortunately, majority of these footpaths are unknown to our security agents. The security implication for this could be imagined and experienced. Esteemed colleagues, the time has come for Nigeria to deploy border control technology to monitor our extensive 5,000 borders. This is one of the main objectives of this bill. Nigeria needs surveillance technology that uses unmanned solar power system, ground sensors, and night vision telescope. This bill will become law, will allow the National Assembly to provide funding for procurement and installation of border security equipment. Today, several countries use drone technology to monitor borders and other illicit trafficking activities. The United States of America has been using drone technology for over 10 years with huge remarkable success. Nigerians should not be lagging behind. Distinguished colleagues, another important issue of this to address by this bill is the abuse of expatriate quotas in the country. There is a report of an expatriate quota racket by some international oil companies. An investigation revealed that the agency which monitors expatriate inflow was flooded with 559,000 applications, with gas quota applications within 11 months. This implication surge occurred in the period of Nigeria losing jobs due to right sizing or downsizing by oil companies. This should not be the case. Mr. President, dear colleagues, I sincerely doubt if we can record a database of expatriates living in this country with information on what they do and where they live. This is very important in order to check abuses of our immigration law and labor laws. Expatriate quotas are usually restricted to the oil and gas industry, but it is unfortunate to observe that foreigners are now venturing into construction labor, domestic services, such as housekeeping and drivers and driving other non-specialty services to the detriment of Nigerians and local workers' skills. This bill seeks to address many issues bordering on the abuse of expatriate quotas in order to protect the female unemployed Nigerian populations, especially youth. In view of the ongoing and for many other reasons, all my colleagues to support this second reading of this bill and ensure its passage. Thank you for supporting it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Senator Ozoko.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Senator Ozoko, Cross River North. National Planning Commission Act.
No, we're still on immigration. Since you are the two bringing us, I thought you two speak on his bill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to support the second reading of this bill and to say that in supporting this, we recognize the importance of properly manned borders in Nigeria, and that we must do all that we need to do to ensure that the agency responsible for this is able to do an effective work in order to man our borders. And again, for the agency involved to be able to do what it needs to do in respect of the expatriate quotas that we have in Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I support the second reading of this bill.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill read the second time, observation, Senator Gobri.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My name is Senator Gobri from Sokoto East. So if you look at paragraph 1, where he said effective transfer of technology to Nigerians understanding expatriates. What do we do with NOTAP? Because NOTAP is doing that job. That is technology acquisition and promotion. So what do we do with that if we have to include that for immigration? That's the question.
Thank you for the observations, Mr. President. I think I have no objections. If you can enhance and strengthen the bill, I think it should be in the right direction. Thank you.
Distinguished, those in favor that this bill read the second time say aye. Those against say nay. There is absence. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to amend the Immigration Act and for related matters 2018, second reading.
A bill for an act to amend the Immigration Act and for other related matters 2018, second reading. This bill is referred to Committee on Interior and report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the seventh order of the day is the second reading of the National Planning Commission Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read first time in this chamber on Thursday, the 1st of March 2018. Mr. President, you may wish to invite very distinguished Senator Ross Oko to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Rosoko.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Senator Rose Oko, Cross River North. National Planning Commission Act 2004, Repeal and Reenactment. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the second reading of this bill. Recall that the bill was first read on the 1st of March 2018. The bill seeks to repeal the National Planning Commission Act Cap 266, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, and reenact the National Planning Commission Bill 2017 to enhance the functionality of the Commission by including provisions for the preparation of a National Development Plan, modalities for assessing implementation, and to bring the activities of the Commission within the purview of the National Assembly and for related matters. Nigeria has had a relatively long experience in development planning, beginning with the 1958 to 68 Colonial Development Plan. Medium-term development plans and national rolling plans were also developed and implemented with mixed results, or rather limited success. However, what has been consistent in Nigeria's attempts at development planning is a lack of effective implementation. This failure can be largely attributed to corruption, poor governance, lack of a clear implementation strategy, and a lack of a robust legislative framework for development planning. It is the foregoing impediments and challenges that this bill seeks to address. Permit me to highlight some of the amendment proposals contained in the bill. Number one, objectives of the Commission under Section 2. The bill seeks to expand the objectives of the National Planning Commission. This is essentially to promote a process of national planning that is inclusive and comprehensive. It also enhances the process by providing for periodic reviews and assessment of the National Development Plan and subjecting it to legislative scrutiny and oversight. Regarding legislative scrutiny, the French experience in development planning is instructive. Apart from their first and third development plans, which were adopted by administrative order, the plan is usually submitted to Parliament for ratification. In the fourth plan, the debate was a heated one and resulted in both in some modification in favor of regional projects and agricultural interests, and a change in the order of events. Submission to the National Assembly formally took place at the last stage. The fifth plan, however, was submitted before it had been finally determined to permit greater democratization in the planning process. 2. Membership of the Commission under Section 3. The amendment here seeks to engender transparency and accountability by subjecting the appointment of the Deputy Chairman and other members of the Commission to Senate confirmation. 3. Duties of the Commission, Section 7. The duties of the Commission are further expanded to specifically include the formulation and preparation of a National Development Plan with short and medium-term benchmarks to assess implementation. 4. National Development Plan, Sections 9 and 10. The bill under this section proposes wide-ranging amendments aimed at ensuring the following. 1. That the National Development Plan is people-oriented and developed in collaboration and consultation with Nigerians from all levels of society. 2. That its implementation is specifically tailored to the national budget. 3. That specific timelines are assigned to all stages of the preparation of the National Development Plan. 4. That the National Development Plan is subject to legislative scrutiny and approval. Obligated to ensure that annual budget estimates are prepared in such a manner to achieve the specific targets, goals, and objectives of the National Development Plan. And finally, that adequate provisions are made for the National Development Plan with a view to verifying the extent to which targets are met or otherwise. ascertaining the reasons for failures, and recommending measures to be taken to meet the goals and targets. Furthermore, additional amendments in Section 10 obligates the Commission to prepare and submit to the President annual reports on the implementation and progress of each national development plan. The President shall, in turn, cause the same report to be presented to the National Assembly not later than the 31st of March of the next succeeding year. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is my belief that all of us envision a better future for Nigeria, a future in which no one lives in poverty, where no one goes hungry, where there is work for all, where everyone lives to their fullest potential. To realize such a society, we need to transform the domestic economy and focus efforts to build the capacities of both the country and the people. To eliminate poverty and reduce inequality, there shall be accelerated growth in the economy, growth that benefits all Nigerians. Indeed, this can only be achieved through a robust national development planning framework that is steeped in transparency, inclusivity, accountability, and of course, one that is subject to legislative scrutiny and oversight. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, in concluding, a well-articulated national development plan will galvanize the citizenry towards a national vision and sustainable development with predictable rather than ad hoc development that are measurable with timelines that can be implemented and easily assessed. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to this end, I urge you all to support this bill as it seeks to reposition and strengthen the Commission responsible for determining and advising on policies that will best promote national unity and strengthen integration as well as economic prosperity. More so, this bill has no additional cost to government as no agency is created. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I thank you for your attention.
Senator Gobri.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Brian Bowe. To be candid, sir, this is a very good bill. Because how I wished that this bill came much earlier than this time so that we can have a lot of inputs and then contribution from people. Planning is the main thing, is the key to development. If there is no planning, there is no development. And if you look at what is happening in this country today, even if there is planning, but there is no implementation. So I think there is also need to have a monitoring committee that should be monitoring that plan to make sure that it is well implemented. And with these few remarks, sir, I believe this is a very straightforward bill, and it should be given a speedy passage. Thank you very much.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be read second time say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to repeal the National Planning Commission and reenact the National Planning Commission 2018, second reading.
A bill for an act to repeal the National Planning Commission and reenact the National Planning Commission 2018, second reading taken. This bill is referred to National Planning and report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the eighth and second to the last order of the day, the second reading of the National Board for Technical Education, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Wednesday, the 14th of March 2018. Mr. President, may we to invite Senator Jibrin Barrow to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Barrow.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Barrow Jibrin. I represent Kano North. Mr. President, I stand to move that the bill for the act to repeal the National Board for Technical Education Act and reenact the National Commission for Technical, Vocational and Entrepreneurial Education and for other matters connected therewith 2018 SB 560 be read the second time. I so move. Mr. President, this is the lead debate on a bill for the act to repeal the National Board for Technical Education Act and and reenact the National Commission for Technical, Vocational and Entrepreneurial Education 2018, SB 560. Mr. President, many thanks for this opportunity to commence debate on the proposed significant repeal of the National Board for Technical Education Act number 9, 1977 and the enactment of National Commission for Technical, Vocational and Entrepreneurial Education. Mr. President, the present administration has skilling and employment of Nigerian youth as one of its priority agenda. There is therefore the need to reorganize the existing regulatory agency responsible for technical education to contribute and develop skill policies for Nigeria. Lately, the country has been experiencing youth unemployment problem occasioned by lack of relevant skills qualification can match most jobs which are now created in the micro, small and medium enterprises which can engage the country's large youth population. Yes, the need therefore to institutionalize vocational qualification training in Nigeria to help in upgrading skills of young people out of employment or employed or underemployed through establishing an agency backed by law to coordinate the system, as this will help transform our youthful population into highly skilled and competent citizens. Mr. President, there are a large number of actors delivering skills education, example, federal and state government agencies, private developers, and non-governmental organizations. Their efforts often overlap and are not standardized or regulated. Therefore, the repeal of the National Board for Technical Education Act and enactment of National Commission for Technical, Vocational and Entrepreneurial Education will promote the institutionalization of professional and technical skills development for sustenance of the national economy. The bill, in addition to regulating the establishment of polytechnics, technical, vocational and entrepreneurial institutions, seeks to broaden the law to formulate, coordinate, and regulate all skill development policies and institutions in Nigeria. In view of the above, Mr. President, distinguished colleague, I urge you all to support the passage of this bill in view of its importance. Mr. President, I so submit. Thank you.
All right, Senator Rozoko.
Rose Oko, Cross River North. Mr. President, in supporting the second reading of this bill, I want to support and note that indeed, in the past couple of years, government has been promoting vocational education as well as the technical education that it has been promoting. And indeed, in the last couple of years, they had additionally included some over 50 subjects, vocational subjects, not just vocational subjects, skill subjects in WAEC, in WAEC and NECO for examinations. And the initial takeoff was hindered by the fact that we knew very little about these vocational subjects. So bringing them under the purview of the technical board and creating this agency for them will help to facilitate that process. Because indeed, any country that does not create skills and does not encourage skills acquisition of these youth would go very little indeed in terms of vocational and technical education. I support the second reading of this bill.
All right, thank you, very distinguished colleague. I think this is a straightforward matter, and I want to thank Senator Jibril Barrow for bringing this bill. I think that this is time for us to provide opportunities for our young people to be able to be self-employed and also to provide sufficient manpower for the industries and factories. That way we'll be able to have a leap, in our economy. If you look at most of the technical people here in this country, they are mainly from the other parts of West Africa. I'm sure with this kind of bill,
be able to provide enabling environment for our people to also provide opportunity for our young people to have sufficient technical education that will support our industries and be able to create employment, for these our people, and without necessarily going through the civil service. So you create a pool of self-employed young men and women. So once more, I would like to thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those support that this bill be taken the second time, say aye. Those against say nay, the ayes have it. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the National Board for Technical Education Act and reignite the National Commission for Technical, Vocational, and Entrepreneurial Education and for other matters connected therewith, 2018, second reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the National Board for Technical Education Act and reignite the National Commission for Technical, Vocational, and Entrepreneurial Education and for other matters connected therewith, 2018, second reading taken and referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and third forth and to report back within 4 weeks.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the ninth and last order of the day is the second reading of the Sports University of Nigeria Establishment, etc. Bill 2018. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Thursday, the 9th of March, 2017. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Obi Nogba to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Oba.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. My name is Senator Obi Nogba, representing Benin Central. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate of this very important bill for the establishment of the Federal University of Sports. The bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Thursday, 5th July 2018, and it seeks to establish the Federal University of Sports and comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, the very essence of this bill is to provide a highly specialized institution where youth of our nation can be developed in various sporting endeavors in an academically charged environment. The objective of this University of Sports, among others, include A. Encourage the advancement of learning and to hold out to all persons without distinction of race, creed, sex, or political conviction the opportunity of acquiring higher education in sports. B. To develop and offer academic and professional programs leading to the award of diplomas, first degrees, postgraduate research, and higher degrees with emphasis on planning, adaptive, technical, maintenance, developmental, and practical skills in engineering, scientific, and allied professionals discipline relating to sports resources with the aim of producing socially matured men and women with capability not only to understand, use, and adapt existing technologies in sport, but also to improve on them and develop new ones. C. To act as agents and catalysts through postgraduate training, research, and innovation for the effective and economic utilization, exploitation, and conservation of the country's sports resources. D. To offer to the general public, particularly the area of sports, as a form of public service, the result of training and research, and to foster the practical application of this result. E. To establish appropriate relationship with other national institutions involved in training, research, and development of technology in the sports sector. F. To identify the problems and needs of sports in Nigeria and to find solutions to them within the context of overall national development. D. To provide and promote sound basic scientific training as a foundation for the development of sports in Nigeria.
taking into account indigenous culture and the need to enhance national unity. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, our sporting sector has very high potentials and requires high-level technical, scientific, and administrative skills to drive it. The University of Sports is therefore to further advance knowledge through research and nurture unique innovations in sporting sciences and technology. In all modesty, may I submit that the establishment of this university is therefore a giant step in the right direction and a major milestone in the history of legislation in Nigeria. Mr. President, most respected distinguished colleagues, the enactment of this bill will help in transforming the sporting sector of Nigeria in producing the needed sportsmen and women, as well as sports administrators in various sporting events. In line with our Senate Order 77-3, the compendium of financial implications is hereby attached. I urge you all to support this bill for the second reading. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Let me start by congratulating distinguished Senator Obinna Ogba for bringing this bill and to say that he has done very well in identifying what binds us together and what brings us together as a nation, which is sports, and to bring up a bill that will ensure that we have a university that will make our sportsmen and women to go into the study of not only what they do, but what they practice and what they have chosen as a profession. So this is in the right direction. It should have come before now, but I want to say that he has done very well. Because before now, in colleges of education, you will find physical training as a subject matter, and people teach some of these subjects. And I did my research, and I found out that it's not only going to be the first in Nigeria, but we have this kind of university in Europe, places like the United Kingdom, and somewhere around in Germany, and in the United States. So I'd like to congratulate distinguished Senator Obinna Ogba, and to say that I stand up to wholeheartedly support the creation of the Sports University. Thank you.
So, Keita. All right. Thank you, distinguished colleagues. I think this is also very innovative, and more so when it's also understood that there are some aspects of aspects of sports, that we need to enhance. Yeah, today we have sports law, we have sports medicine, we have sports psychology, we have sports physiotherapy, and most of these things are not taught in regular universities. So once we have a specialized university for sports, I'm sure some of these things will be put in place, and then we're able to have the requisite manpower to deal with these specialized areas, that are also relevant to sports. So I'd like to thank Senator Obinna Ogba, for his innovativeness in bringing about this institution, the bill to establish this institution. So once more, I'd like to thank you and thank the Senate for the incisive debate we've had, and thank Senator Duda for his contribution. So on this note, I'd like to put the question. Those in support that this bill could second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, the bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Sports to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and other related matters 2018, second reading.
Dear colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Sports to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and other related matters 2018, second reading taken, and referred to Committee on Sports and Social Development to report back within 4 weeks. State Leader. Right, distinguished colleagues, we've come to the end of the items in the other paper for today. It's been a very productive day.
I'd like to thank everybody for your patience, your contribution, for all that I've been able to achieve today. So on this note, the Senate is now adjourned to tomorrow, Thursday, the 18th day of October 2018 at 10 a.m. prompt. Senate is accordingly adjourned.
And working together is success. These are more of the reasons the legislators have always been together in order to contribute to national development. I want to especially thank you for being part of today's plenary. Well, you will agree with me that it has been an intensive and of course a very productive debate by the legislators from different states and different constituencies. Until we'll come your way again, hopefully tomorrow, we are saying be patriotic and God bless you. I remain Christy Ewodage saying be blessed.